Hello and welcome to Top 5 Friday. I'm your host Tim Cant, and this time we're getting our freak on as we're preparing to discover Plug-in Boutique's Top 5 FM Synths. That's right, we're on the prowl for growls. Let's run those bad boys down. FM8 is your best mate at 5. Cypher 2 is lurking mysteriously at 4. Dext is free at number 3. RYM2612 is at number 2. And the DX7V is our number 1. At 5, it's FM8 by Native Instruments. The archetypal FM synth is the Yamaha DX7, and FM8 takes the FM OG to exciting new places. Thankfully though, it uses a relatively straightforward graphical interface that takes the pain out of FM programming with its glorious and flexible modulation matrix. FM8 costs £129 for a license, but you may well already have it as part of a Native Instruments complete bundle. FM8 is a 2007 vintage, so it's pretty flippin' old at this point, but I still think it's an absolutely fantastic FM synth. What I particularly like about it is the no-nonsense FM matrix here that makes it really straightforward to program. Let me show you how it works. It's as simple as turning an oscillator on, then routing it to another oscillator. So we have a sine tone to begin with. This is F producing our sine tone. When we modulate it with oscillator E, we're going to hear some more harmonics creep in. Listen to those harmonics. Now what we can do is we can use the envelope, the amplitude envelope of oscillator E to change how loud it is over time, and that will change the amount of modulation going to F. So listen to this. Oh, we've created what is kind of like, a bit like a low-pass filter closing, but rather than actually closing a low-pass filter, we're just getting less modulation and therefore fewer harmonics over time. And what we can do is we can change the ratio of oscillator E, which is basically changing its pitch, and that will change the timbre. There you go. Techno bass in your face. An FM synthesis really is as simple as that. I know people seem to really struggle to communicate what it's all about, but once you got the hang of it, I find it pretty easy. Now, let's do some cool stuff that you could do in FM8 that you can't really do so much in other synths. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn up the number of voices to a whopping 40. Now, we may get some clipping here, guys. I'm not going to lie to you. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this down. Oh God. Oh, listen how beefy that is. 40 voices in your flipping face. And we can detune them. What I really like to do is use the digital quality. Oh yeah. And you get some real crunchiness in there. So let's do some other things. Let's turn up the attack time on this oscillator. There you go. You can get some really interesting and crazy noises and muck about with the ratio. And also what you can do in this synth that you couldn't do in the DX7 is change the waveform of the oscillators, and that can give us some really startling results. Great stuff, and it's got effects in there. So yeah, really powerful. That, of course, is just scratching the surface of this lovely synth. Your old FM8, but I still love your beautiful, beautiful face. At 4, it's Cypher 2 by FXpansion. This update to FXpansion's classic Cypher synth adds a ton of MPE functionality. That's MIDI polyphonic expression, which means that each note can have its own discrete modulation parameters, so you can make your music more expressive than ever before if you're using an MPE-capable DAW. The synth's complex oscillators make use of FM and filter wave shapers, and there are approx 30 effect types that can be applied to the signal further down the chain. FXpansion's preset morphing means you can go from one sound to another to pull off some crazy tricks. This one costs £159 from Plug-in Boutique. Cypher 2 is a hybrid synth that does your virtual analog stuff, and it's got a bunch of FM in there as well. I mean, if you were to just use it as a sort of, just try whacking up the FM knobs basically with the default sort of sounds, which is a sawtooth. We're going to use oscillator 2 to FM modulate oscillator 1 now. Let's hear how it sounds. Oh yeah. you get a real lot of crunchiness, and it sounds like that this thing is only capable of filth. It can do a lot of filth. It can also be nicer as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn that back down. So we just hear oscillator 1 again. And what we can do is we can use some traditional FM style sine tones. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn down oscillator 1's wave shape. So it's just a triangle. Well, it changes if I move the cursor off. So it's just a triangle. And if we click this little sine thing, it rounds it out. So we just get a pure sine tone. Lovely. So let's do the same with oscillator 2. And now when we turn up the FM amount, we're going to hear something a little more delicate. Oh, not that much more delicate. I tell you what, let's use some modulation to modulate that FM level over time. To do that, we use the transmod system. We select envelope 1. We turn up the little halo around the knob. There we go. Your classic FM style modulation. Get rid of that. And now we can turn up the scale on here to detune oscillator 2. Oh, look. It's just your flipping, your classic FM style type. And if you want to make it sound all lovely, you can add some effects. So what I'd really like is some delay and reverb. Let's do that. Tin can reverb sounds pretty cool. Oh. How delightful. Cypher 2 goes from really nasty to just really lovely and soft and cuddly. What a great synth. At 3 is Dext by Digital Suburban. This synth is another clone of Yamaha's DX7 hardware, only this time it's free. Dext won't cost you a thing, plus you can import the original DX7 patches for some timeless sounds. Far cry from the tiny LCD of the original, Dext plops all its controls right out in front of you, meaning you have access to the main parameters you'll need as soon as you need them. Dext is a fantastic freeware emulation of the DX7. Big up to all the developers of Dext. It's a really fantastic thing that they've gifted the world for free. A really cracking virtual DX7. You can just load in your DAW and get all of that great FM goodness in there. And hey, look, I know it looks scary, but that's only because you've got all 6 operators of a DX7 with all of the parameters right there on one screen with no mucking about. But hey, don't worry about that at the moment. We're not going to look at that. So what I want to show you is Dext's flipping cool ability to load up the sysx files from the original DX7. You can find them online by Googling something like DX7 original ROM download, something like that. And then if we go onto the cart page, look, we can see, look, I've sneakily put a folder in here. And what have we got in here? Yes, it's the original ROMs. Now, if you download a file and it happens to have just tons of these sysx files in there, you're looking for the ones that are ROM 1A to ROM 4B. Now, if we open this up, we get some real classics. Let's have a listen to E-Piano 1. That's right, it's the slow jam sound of the 80s in its beautiful original form. But hey, what about E-Organ 1? Ooh. It's a classic bass sound that transcends time with its awesomeness. Marimba. Get tropical with it. Tub bell, that's just your tubular bell. What a classic sound. And of course, there's a bunch of these banks. There's just tons of stuff in there. Who doesn't need an FM harpsichord, for goodness sake? Celeste, a bit of a hidden gem. Dext, it's an absolute corker. For goodness sake, download it immediately. At 2, it's RYM2612 by Inphonik. Forget the DX7 for a second. Another famous use of frequency modulation was in the sound chip for the Sega Mega Drive, also known as the Sega Genesis in North America. The chip was called the Yamaha YM2612, and RYM2612 does a great job of putting it in your DAW, and it emulates the quirks of the original chip that made it such an interesting tool for 90s video game sound designers. The plug-in version offers 16 voices of polyphony instead of the original 6, and it has an audio input for digitizing your existing tracks. It costs about $55 from Plug-in Boutique. If you're a fan of chiptune or old school PC sound cards, or in particular the Sega Mega Drive or Genesis, you're going to find RYM2612 is a bit of a treat because it has just nostalgia-packed sounds up the wazoo. Let's take a look at some of the presets. You'll notice here I've got loads of presets. There's a free preset expansion on the developer's website, so if you purchase it, for goodness sake, download that, because there's tons in there. Ooh. All these sounds make you feel like you've just picked up a potion, or there's some kind of horrendous boss coming for you, or you've dropped all of your rings, something like that. And another cool feature it has is you can run audio through it. So let's try that now. I have pre-recorded a little bit of an audio snippet here. Let's have a listen to it.
Rise from your grave.
Yeah, rise from your grave, guys. So what we're going to do is we're going to route that through the RYM2612, set it to the DAC inputs, and then let's have a listen to it. Oh, no, I need to set the track on.
Rise from your grave.
Okay, now it doesn't sound that messed up just yet, but when we muck about with the DAC prescaler, we're going to hear some different sounds.
Rise from your grave. 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 Rise from your grave.
So you're really getting a taste of that completely garbled, old school sound. So if you want to recapture the feeling of getting so jacked that you turn into a flippin' flying werewolf that shoots fireballs, then RYM2612 is the plugin for you, buddy. And at number 1, it's the DX7V by Arturia. Arturia's DX7 recreation is faithful to the Yamaha original, although it does improve on it in many ways, including most notably a gorgeous interface that turns the notoriously hard to program hardware into software that's just begging to be tweaked. Plus it's got effects, an ARP unison D tune, and tons more awesome new features too. If you want to get your hands on Arturia's DX7, it'll set you back €150 on its own, and it's also available as part of the V collection, with many other synths for not a lot more money. If you're after a slick, modern take on the DX7, the Arturia DX7 is a great choice, especially because it is part of their V collection bundle, so hey, maybe you've got it already. I just want to show you a cool thing that you can do in this synth. For the life of me, I can't find a way to do in other DX7 inspired plugins. So we're going to start by choosing a initialized patch. Okay, it's just a sine tone. And what we're going to do is we're going to turn up the volume of operator 2 as well. So you can hear that modulation happening here. Now, you'll notice that this pitch envelope generator option is turned on in operator 1 and in operator 2. So let's see what happens when we go to the envelopes and we create some pitch modulation. Now, how does this work? Well, we can choose some kind of ADSR or something. There we go. Very nice indeed. Now, if we go to operator 2 and go back to the overview, we can turn this off. So now just operator 1 is dropping in pitch. Or we can swap things around. Turn it off in operator 1 and just operator 2 is dropping in pitch. Which gives us 2 different effects. And it's something that's very simple, but you can't really do that in FM8 or Dext. So there you go, just a little tip to finish you off there with DX7, a fantastic synth that's got tons of gorgeous presets built in as well. Well, I think we've all heard enough sidebands for one day. It's time to stop modulating and cease carrying. If you'd like more plugin related fun, please hit the subscribe button and tap that notification bell. We'll be back with more harmonica richness real soon. Laters!